Hey guys, welcome back for another video. So I've seen some comments lately asking, how do I take a great picture of my watch at home? Having trouble doing it. Well, this is gonna hopefully help you do it. And I'm gonna show you how to do it even on a potato camera, like this freaking last generation regular iPad. Not the greatest camera sensor in the world, but you know what? Good enough for taking some cool shots. I'm gonna show you two examples, two very common shots, the quintessential wrist shot. I'll show you how to get that. A lot of people love doing that just to share it for a quick upload to Facebook. I do too. Background note, I've been a professional photographer, including product photography, for over 14 years, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna spend a half an hour on every freaking little shot I take just for a post on Facebook. No, I wanna whip out my phone and take a quick snap, just spend a couple minutes doing it and be done. So that's what you're gonna be able to do at the end of this. Now I'm filming with my camera right now, filming my iPad. I'm going to show you everything you need to do here. Really simple. And you can apply this to whatever phone you have. This isn't going to take into account editing or anything advanced. These are just a few simple little physical things that'll help you no matter what you're shooting with. So let's do the wrist shot first. I've got my beautiful Mockingbird Seiko here. It has a gorgeous, very unique green dial, and it's very hard to photograph because it changes in the light and it kind of sparkles and it moves around. Really cool stuff. Now, the one secret that applies to absolutely everything when you're shooting with any kind of mobile or tablet device: light. The more light, the better. These are always going to try to maximize their depth of field, give you as much in focus at any given time. They're always going to try to give you a sharp picture, so they're going to prioritize the shutter speed, which means you moving around isn't going to blur the picture. So it sacrifices the ISO. That's the sensitivity of the sensor in the camera module. And the more sensitive that gets turned up, the worse the quality gets. So it looks like you're taking a shot with a potato. And I'll show you the examples here. So first, the wrist shot. Let me flip around here. So simple camera controls, y'all are very familiar with them. You've got the actual shutter. You can also use buttons on many cameras. The one thing some people aren't aware of is the focus. When you have a device, and all of these are defaulting to an autofocus, right? And you can move back and forth. You get usually a little square. That means it's in focus. There will be a point where you get too close and you don't get that square and it starts to look blurry. All right, that's the limit of whatever lens and device you're shooting with to take a sharp picture. If you go closer than that, there we go, a little bit there, and now it's getting blurry. So this can't focus much closer, but you can always tap, a little hard with one hand, you can always tap on whatever you want to focus on, and if it locks on, it locks on. If it doesn't, that means you're too close, and you need to back up. So I'm in a office space here. If I move this around, maybe you can see a reflection. See, it's just an office fan. That's my light in the room. It's very dim to the camera. It's very normal to your eyes. This is just normal indoor lighting, but the camera sees very dim lighting and it's turned this sensitivity way up. So it's as low quality as it gets, just to be able to give you a nice sharp picture. Let me move my hand over here. We'll take the picture real quick and I'll show you an example, and I'll just show you on screen the result of what kind of quality you get in this low light. So here's the wrist shot. That's cool. I want to put that on Facebook. Take the picture. Okay, cool. So it's in focus. It's sharp. The colors look decent. I don't have any weird reflections. Also in low light, it focuses slower. So if that was what you wanted, you're all good. Now, for example, if I were to, so that's low light. Let's go take a look at what happens when you add more light. So if you need to shoot indoors, maybe you're doing some kind of setting or you have props and all that kind of good stuff, you need to add some more physical lights. I got these little battery operated things. Any light is going to do. You want to try to match the type of light, so you don't want to have an incandescent next to an LED and things like that. But any light source, the more the better, is going to help. So I'm just going to flip this on. It could be a desk lamp. It could be a floor lamp. Could be something you have on your nightstand, whatever you want, any kind of additional light, bring it in. All right, so now I've got the light source, the same direction that my other ceiling light is coming from, and you can see the brightness difference just in the reflection here in the iPad. The indoor lighting itself is inherently dim. It looks normal to our eyes, but it's really not. So just turning this one additional light on, you can see all the fingerprints and smudges, but that's not the point. I just want you to see how I'm taking the picture. So we're gonna take the same shot. We're just gonna put the watch there. We're gonna see now it's focusing way faster because that watch itself has a lot more light on it. So we'll just focus real quick. And if I can reach my thumb over there, we'll take the picture. So we can see the reflection of that new light in the watch. That's not what we want. So we're gonna move the light just a little bit to get it out of the way. Try it again. And there we go. Nice clean dial shot. Do a quick focus. And hold on. Quick focus. And take the picture. All right, and I'll put that up and you can compare the two just by adding a little more light. And of course, the easiest solution, go outside on a sunny day. All right, now let's tackle a simple product shot or artsy shot, whatever you want to call it. This is what I call just nice looking, tantalizing photos. These are what tend to make people want to buy a watch, in my opinion. And this is kind of what I would do back when I would do product advertising. So what I've got is, this is just on dim. This is the dimmest setting, really like a night light. But my camera has the sensitivity adjusted way up because it wants the whole frame to look normal. So it looks like I'm in a bright room. I'm not. I've just got that little dim fan light on. So let's bump this up to full. Now you can see the frame looks about the same because the camera did all the adjusting and so did my eyes. But now we've got 4 or 5 times the light right down here just from this little desk lamp. So this is where I would begin to think about taking this shot. So I'm just gonna see how it looks here, you know. Got my beautiful scotch, got an awesome Padron cigar, and my beautiful Hamilton Intramatic. So it looks, you know, kind of interesting, little static. One thing you want to be aware of is where any kind of labels are facing. You want them to kind of be on the same plane. So I'm going to rotate the camera or the iPad. Look at the label on the scotch. See how it's spinning around the bottle when I rotate around it like that? I don't mind a little bit of an angle on the watch because that's an interesting point, and that's going to be the focal point of the photo, but you don't want this bottle turned to the side so that label's off center. That's the point. So we're going to stay here for the shot. Now the cigar, I mean, it's just hanging out there. So I think there's a better position. I'm thinking maybe somewhere in the middle, but you don't want to put anything too out of plane. You don't want it too far forward in the shot or too far back in the shot because it just won't look good in the final composition. So we're just going to do that. Yeah, that looks good. And that way I can tighten up my composition a little bit. That's looking pretty good right there. So I've got some nice color going with the scotch. Obviously the watch looks great. I'm aware of where that shadow line is. I moved the box back and forth if I want to change that, where that shadow is falling from the desk lamp, or I could move the lamp itself. You know, you could just do this, move the shadow up or down. It's also changing what it's doing to the rest of the photo, so be aware of that. All right, so the next thing I'm looking at here is the watch itself is going to be my focal point, and it's an almost bright white dial, so I want to definitely focus on that, and it's a little bright. Like I said, the sensor is trying to make sure that the whole frame is the right brightness. The watch dial is definitely the brightest thing in the frame. So what we can do with most cameras is drag up or down, look at your manual to see where your controls are. I want to make sure that that dial isn't being blown out. And I do want to bring it down just a little bit. And what we can see is the rest of the frame is obviously darker, especially the scotch. I mean, that bottle looks unlit. So I've got my additional light again, but I've got it to the other side because I just want to kiss this with some light. I don't want to splash the wall too much. So let's turn that on, and I'm betting that is going to fix our lack of light on the scotch problem. You can see now this is a very bright LED light, but the overall frame looks about the same because that's what the camera is doing. It now has a lot of light to work with. So it turned that sensitivity down and the detail went way up. It's like the resolution of the camera. The more light, the more resolution you're gonna get. And that's always a good thing. Okay, so that looks way better. That's more of what I had in my head. That looks good. And now everything is evenly lit. So the watch, just by default, isn't blown out anymore. And I got this nice splash of color reflection coming on the back of the Hamilton watch. And more importantly, everything is now correctly shaded. It's hard for you guys to see. I'll show you the final pictures so you can see the differences anyway, but I'm looking at this and the gray of the Hamilton box actually looks gray on the iPad here where it was more white before because of the exposure compensation. So that looks great. I'm gonna go ahead and take that. So that's it. That's really as simple as it gets. Now, of course, there are tons of things you can do in editing, and I'm not gonna go into that because that's just a whole can of worms. But these are just the basic physical things, adding more light, checking your perspective, and just making sure that you give the camera the best opportunity to do the job to get you the really high quality and simple results for your quick snaps. That's it. See you next time.